So I'm here with John Carter, an astronomer at IAS Paris-Saclay University in France, on La Palma. This is a Saturday afternoon, and I found him working away on his computer, actually on working on the landing site for the ExoMars rover, which is due to launch when, John?
2028, hopefully.
2028. And you were part of the science team that was instrumental in choosing the site. And you were giving me a little bit of history of why you chose this Occidental Planum site.
We were part of a large team, working to propose different landing sites that would be submitted to a committee that's steered by ESA, who in the end chose one of these landing sites. And we've worked in particular on the landing site that is currently the one selected for landing, which is called Oxyoplanum, which is a super interesting site comprising of sedimentary clay rocks, which we want to study for the organic matter that it may contain or may have contained in its past.
And so you say that within 2 weeks' time, you think that this mission can complete a lot of what it has to do, but you hope it will last 3 to 4 years. But it is running on solar panels, unlike the Perseverance, which has an RTG.
Well, we certainly hope that within a couple of weeks or a couple of months we'll be able to do the primary science of ExoMars. So this is how ESA has planned the rover to work and the operations. And the good part of this landing site is that it was partially chosen because most of the area where we expected to land are covered in the science that we're interested in. So this, in particular, this clay-rich sedimentary rock that we found. And so we are expecting, certainly we're hoping, but we're expecting that there is a very high probability that when we land, we can just start driving a few meters and we'll be able to drill. So there'll be we'll be drilling up to 2 meters into this clay unit at Mars. First time we drill so deep at Mars.
Which is about 6 feet, right?
Correct, yeah. And so we are certainly hoping that within a few meters of driving, we'll be able to see this clay unit we were interested in. This is our prime science target. We'll be drilling into it, analyzing it, and with all the very diverse and sort of super sophisticated instrument payload that we have.
And this site could be on the edge of an ancient ocean. Mars is not. We don't know yet whether Mars did have an ocean.
So yeah, this is certainly an interesting prospect that we can test while we land there. We want to be extremely prudent with this because history has sort of shown us that it's easy to oversell Mars science, saying that water and life was everywhere. We honestly do not know. That is a fact. So having an ancient ocean in the ancient past of Mars is something that is possible, although there are many problems with this hypothesis. But certainly Oxyoplanum, the site itself, and especially the rover payload, would provide us with a way of having a decent test of this hypothesis. But even if we do not find an ocean, we will probably find water-rich environments, perhaps some episodic flooding, some surface runoff and weathering, so other processes involving water, which are perhaps even more interesting for past life than a past ocean, actually.
And from the surface, this is unexplored Mars territory. We were saying that you were telling me that probably the closest rover or any sort of lander that has been near this site was the Pathfinder mission.
Correct, yeah. So this area of Mars has not really been studied at all yet by surface platforms or rovers and landers. And geographically, the closest is probably the Mars Pathfinder mission. However, of course, this was a very small, rover that was here to test a number of technologies. That is now 25 years ago, and so this tiny rover has had a very limited science payload very good for the time, but very limited compared to what we can now do. And even more importantly, the rover Pathfinder landed in an area which is very, very different, geologically speaking, from Oxyoplanum. So for sure, what we will find at Oxyoplanum will be different from what Mars Pathfinder has found at the time. But in any case, we're eager to explore this site because it's going to be a very different site than anything that's been studied so far. So Gale Crater with MSL, Jezero Crater with Mars 2020 are both extremely interesting sites, but they're extremely different from Oxia. So Oxia is a new site, and we hope new science will be done there.
So thanks so much for taking the time, John, out of your work on
you.
the Saturday afternoon. Thanks so much. And we look forward to hearing more as the mission gets ready for launch.
My pleasure.